Hari Om. Start with the prayer. Om Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidwaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhusya Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. So we are looking at the world is nothing but the Brahman only. Even though the world is continuously changing, it's called a Jagat, Jayate, Gacchate, iti Jagat. So even though it is continuously changing, any changing thing should have a substantive or substratum that is changeless in the changing things, and that's what is called law of conservation. Something is conserved when water becomes ice, ice becomes the steam, and steam becomes back again to water or ice. The something that is matter is conserved, and law of that is called law of conservation of mass. And the same way, energy is conserved, only one form of energy is transformed into another form of energy. Same thing applies at the absolute level. According to the Vedanta, there is a conservation of existence. The Sat itself is a conserved, and that which was before is pure existence, and itself became many. Now it appears in different names and forms, so attributive contents are different of each object, and the whole world is nothing but the all objects, including the space and time. Therefore, the Jagat itself is continuously changing, and this changing things has to have a changeless entity, and that is pure existence itself. And that's what is the Brahman is, nature is Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, and Satchidanandam, it is pure nature of Sat, and that's how the Chandogya and Idam, everything is nothing but Sat only. That Aitadatmam Idagam Sarvam Tat Satyam, and that is nothing but you are, and that becomes a Mahavakya. So here we are going to we are doing the world and Brahman are one and the same. Brahman itself appearing as though into the world of different of plurality. So we'll take now the sloka 229 of the Viveka Chudamani. So it says, Yadidam sakalam vishvam nana rupam pratitam ajnanat tat sarvam brahmaiva pratyasta sesha bhavana dosham. So it says, Yadidam sakalam vishvam nana rupam pratitam ajnanat tat sarvam brahmaiva pratyasta sesha bhavana dosham. Pratyasta Sesha Bhavana Dosham. So Ajnanat Nama Rupam Sakalam Yat Idam Vishwam Pratitam. So Yat Idam Sakalam Vishwam, the whole entire universe, Idam that I point out everything, is the whole universe is Nama Rupam. It's only name and form. Pratitam, it is well known in terms of, or it is exhibited or known or projected due to ajnana, because of not knowing. So from the point of not knowing what? Not knowing the oneness that pervades the whole universe, I am only looking superficially, because the senses can only gather only attributive content but not the substantive, because the vision is only through the senses. So yat sarvam brahmaiva, so whole universe is sarvam, means without any exception, this everything is nothing but Brahma eva. That includes both the seer and the seen also. The seen, not only seen, is the world, even the knower of the world is not different from Brahman. So Purnamidam, Idam is entire universe is Purnam, which is nothing but Brahman, and Purnamadam, so Purnamadam, Purnamidam. So Adam is also infinite. Brahman, That is, Adam is that which is not Idam is Adam. That which is not this whole universe is Adam. And that means that which one who is pointing out Idam, and that which cannot be pointed comes under Adam, which is nothing but Aham. So therefore, I am also nothing but Brahman only. So Purnam Adaha is Aham Purnam, Purnam Idaha is Jagat Purnam, and they cannot be two Purnam. So Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. So from Purnam came from Purnam. Which Purnam came from Purnam? Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate. From parallel construction, from Aham Purnam, so Idam Purnam came. From Brahman that I am, which is of the pure nature of consciousness, the whole world is projected. And that's all the Vedanta. So this sloka, Purnamada sloka, packs the whole Vedanta in it itself, in a simple form. And Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. When you remove infinity from infinity, infinity alone, infinity plus minus infinity is infinity also. So even though the Brahman, from pure consciousness, as though this is projected, I still am Purnam as well as the word, because only apparent projection, I am the very substratum for the whole universe also. So therefore it cannot be different from me, because I am infinite, so nothing can be different from the infinity. So therefore, Yadidam Sakalam Vishwam Nana Rupam Pratitam Ajnana. So when I am only looking at the Nana Rupam, that is Aneka Rupam, there is only looking at the different forms and attributes of the object, I am paying attention to the superficial attributive content of the objects only. But the senses cannot, there is no rupam for the substratum, there is no akaram, or there is no attribute for the existence. So existence is not an attribute, existence is the very support from which the whole universe exists. And therefore some acharyas interpret Sat, Chid, Ananda are attributes, but they cannot be attributes, they are the very essence of the whole universe itself. So Nana Rupam, so when I am paying only attention on the superficial aspects, and it becomes Ajnanam when I take that superficial entity as real entity. The Jnanam is only, even though looking at the superficial entity and recognizing that they are only superficial attributive content needed for transactional purposes, but essence is only one and the same. So knowing very well everything is nothing but the gold, so having that knowledge doesn't deprive me of using a ring as a ring, and a bangle as a bangle, and a necklace as a necklace. So Nana Rupam, so varieties of ornaments are only beauty of the creation of the gold. So gold say, this is my vibhuti. Why? Because gold is malleable or ductile enough, and it is ornamentative. Therefore I can exist in various forms, they are all my vibhuti, but actually I am only in these forms. It's nothing but me only. Only name and a form is superficial, superimposed for transactional purposes only, for utility. So what is useful need not be real. What is useful is only for transactionally real, but not absolutely real. Because some people have defined, Acharya defined, that what is useful is pramanam. That which is useful only yadhartam pramanam. Yadhartam means that which has a utility also. But for us, what is useful is not necessarily real. In fact, the definition is, because it's useful, it cannot be real. Because it is seen, it cannot be real. Because it is experienced, therefore it's not really real. So it is real enough for me to experience, but not real enough for it doesn't remain the same. It's not absolute reality. So yat idam sakalam vishwam, so nana rupam pratitam ajnanam. Here pratitam is taking that the nana rupam, that means varieties of names and forms, or differences in the jagat, or in the attributive differences, or differences from one object to other object, and within the same object different types of object. So sajati vijati swagata bedas, all are nana rupam, and that is taking that as a real is pratitam, and that is due to ajnana. due to the delusion. So how can I, jnanam is what? Jnanam is seeing oneness that pervades one, and that is what is called, through the sukshma buddhi, I have to see what is real in this and what is only superficially real or attributively real but not really real. That's called nitya, anitya, vastu vivekam. And tat sarvam brahmaiva. Therefore, according to scriptures, everything is nothing but Brahman, and that which is the substantive of all that. And pratyastha bhavana, pratyastha sesha bhavana dosham. So the adosham, bhavana adosham. So one who sees the reality behind it, so that which is asesham, that after negating not the form, not this name and everything, superficial things are negated. What is the substantive part if I take it, and there is no differences of any kind, and that is essentially Brahma eva. So that understanding comes from the without any defects of whatsoever. It is clear vision, and that vision is essentially tells us it is nothing but pure Brahman, and Tat Sarvam Brahmaiva. So knowing very well everything is nothing but Brahman, I can deal with the world with that understanding, then knowing that these superficial dealings at a superficial level is only at the superficial level. I should not take it beyond. It's what is intended. What his intention is for transactional purposes. So for transactions, I have to use it. The difference is important. I don't get confused with that. At the same time, understanding that there is no difference whatsoever from the absolute point. This is important because when I take the differences as real, this is mine, that is yours, and all that come into picture, all the raga dveshas come into picture, all the superimposed, the jiva srushti on top of Ishvara srushti. Raga dveshas are nothing but superimposing, I like this, I don't like this. It's nothing to do with the object, but something to do with my relation with the object, where I am putting my raga dveshas on top of the object, and these come under things I like, and these come under things I don't like. I can use it for transactions, not that I have to eat something which I don't like. It's not that what it means. It means is I should not hate something. There's somebody else likes it. For transactional purposes, I should eat what I like only, if it is available, or what should be healthy also. But from the point of dveshas, it says I dislike it and I like the intense raga dveshas which govern my life itself, then there is a problem. So kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsaryas, this is called arishad vargam, the 6 fundamental enemies, and that enemies essentially is the more serious enemy than any other enemies that you have. In fact, Prahalada tells his father, says Hiranyakasipu, he says, I have conquered all the enemies, and in the heavens, in the world, in the Patalam, there is no enemy for me. He says, you might have conquered all those external enemies. That doesn't mean anything. You have not conquered your own internal enemies, and those enemies are essentially the kama, krodha, moha, lobha, mada, matsarya. The 6 enemies are there. If you conquer them, then you are really a winner. Otherwise, you are essentially slave to them. That's the boy Prahalada teaches his father Hiranyakasipu. Anyway, this is a vision of the Vedanta, is to see oneness that pervades everything. So it becomes a sadhana for us, where when I am transacting in the world, have this vision in mind while transacting, without getting confused in terms of transactions, at the same time without not getting carried away with the losses and so on that occurs in the transactional world. And that should be understood here. So we will now take the sloka 230 in the Viveka Chudamani. Here he gives an example here. Nutkarya bhutopi mudona binnaha kumbhosti sarvatra nutsvarupat nakumbharupam prutagasti kumbhaha kruto musha kalpitanama matraha. Mrutkarya bhutopi mrudo na bhinnaha kumbhosti sarvatra tu mrutsvarupat na kumbharupam pratagasti kumbhaha mruto kuto musha kalpitanama matraha. So, looking at the pot, Mrutkarya bhutaha pim mrudona binha. So karyam is a product, and the mud, the mrut is the clay. So they're looking at the products made up of clay, says they are nothing but mrudo abhinnaha. So mrudo bhinnaha, it's not different from the clay. So the karanam, the cause, the material cause we are talking about, the material cause itself is appearing as many, and this appearance is only vivartavadam. Vivarta means only apparently appears many. That means it's not really different, but appears to be different because of the different name, different attributive content. So this appearance is what is called the vivartam. That means it is transformationless transformation. And this example is also from the Chandogya Upanishad, says that which is just as all the pots came from the mud, and all are nothing but name only, name and a form. So every pot indicates nothing but the clay only. So here I am using a pot and I say, hey, this is a pot. That's how we start. This is a pot different from the other pot. This is a small pot and the other is a big pot. I only want small pot. So here I am looking at the object pot, and I need the pot to carry water from one place to other place. That's too big a pot. I cannot carry that much water, and this is too small a pot because that water is not enough. So I need this pot which is of the right size, and this pot which is different from other pots and also different from all other objects also. So looking at the pot, using the pot, and examining the pot, what is a pot? So here I am looking and using utility wise, and looking at the pot and seeing the differences at the superficial level. When I examine, that means vichara is required. When I examine properly, I say it is nothing but the clay. He says, where is the clay and where is the pot? Every part of the pot is nothing but clay only. So what I say, it is nothing but clay pot. So what was it before? I thought it was a pot. Now I understand it is clay pot. So clay has become an adjective to the pot. What is substantive? In English, substantive means noun. But what is a noun? Pot is a noun, and clay has become an adjective qualifying the pot. But what actually is substantive of the pot itself is a clay only. Substantive means very substance in which it is made up of is nothing but a clay only. So it was clay before, it is also clay now, and it will be clay if even the pot is broken. Pot is only intermediately state of the clay, we call it a pot. So that was not there before, that is not going to be there in later, and only in between I say it is there. Says even now it is really not there. What is there is only the clay. That's what Gaudapada says. In fact, what was not there before, says, and it is not going to be there later, and even now also Vartamana epi tattadha. Even Vartamana, even in the present also there is no pot there. So what is there is only clay. And I am unnecessarily calling the pot, and another is a vessel, a different name. Say, why am I giving? Because otherwise there will be confusion. Says this pot is different from that pot is different from that other vessel, and therefore for my transactional purposes I have to give a name for this form so that I can easily transact with. But I should not take the name and a form as the essence of the pot, because it is nothing but clay only appearing as different names and forms. Therefore, mutkaryam, karyam is product, and the karanam is mrut. Karanam is from which it came, by which it sustained, into which it goes back. That's called upadana karanam, and upadana karanam is the material cause, and the material cause is nothing but clay. And this is type of transformation where it remaining as a clay, appearing as different things. And that which is mutkarya bhutaha api mrudona binnaha, even though it appears to be different from the clay, it is not really different from clay. It is clay only, but for convenience I am using a name for this form of clay as pot. So kumbhosti sarvatradu mrut swarupa. So everywhere of the pot is nothing but a clay only. It is not different from any part of the pot. Any part of the pot is not different from the clay. Therefore it is nothing but clay only. And na kumbharupam pratagasti kumbhaha. So this pot shape is only not really different from the clay only. And kruto musha kalpita namamatraha. So namamatraha, it's only namesake that this name pot is given for this form of clay. For this form of gold, I call it a ring. There is no ring substance there. But for this form of gold, it's only gold substance. That's why it's valuable. Therefore, for this part of gold substance, I call it a ring. For other part of gold substance, I call it a necklace or a bangle, because utility of the ring is different from utility of the bangle is different from a utility of the necklace. And ring and gold are not of the same order of reality. Even though, from according to the other philosophers, both are real, why are you separating one as a Mithya and one is Satyam? Because the order of reality is different. One is transformationless as transformation, one is destructive transformation. What is destructive transformation? When I change a ring into a bangle, there is no more ring there, and it doesn't say ring is appearing as a bangle, ring is gone, and therefore that's called destruction of the ring is the birth of a bangle. Whereas the gold point, it is still ring at that form, now it is in the bangle form. There is no destruction of the gold, and gold is only appearing before as a ring, now appearing as a bangle. So from the gold point it is a vivartam, and from the ring point it is the parinamam. Parinamam is destructive transformation, and we are only looking at the very karanam, the cause because of which all karyam, the products are. So what is this? Is example the scripture is giving us. This is the scriptural statement. So the yatha somya ekena lohamunina sarvam lohamayam vijnata. That is example for the gold, and says vacharambanam vikaro namadeyam. So all are nothing but vacharambanam. It's only nam ke vaste. All objects are nothing but namesake only. What is the lohamicheva satyam? The gold alone is the real. The ring and the bangle are not really real. That's what the statement by the scripture itself. Yada somya ekena mrutpindena sarvam munmayam vijnata vacharambanam vikaro namadeyam mrutikityeva satyam. And that's what the example here being used as the mrutkarya bhutopi mrudopi binnaha kumbhosti sarvatratu mrut swarupat na kumbharupam pratagasti kumbhaha. So what is there? I'm seeing the pot, but there's no really pot there, but eyes can only see form. This has to be very clear. Eyes cannot see the formless entity. In the case of clay, it can say because it's another object only, but from the point of absolute, it is imperceptible. The sat, that is substratum for the whole universe, is imperceptible. And this we'll go into more details. Example is being explained more about the pot and the mud and so on in the next sloka that we'll take up in the next talk. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purna Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.